What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our Week 17 preview and picks. As always, I have Ethan joining me to break down this week's biggest games. But before we get into it, hit that subscribe button down below to be entered into our giveaway.
It was a profitable week for both of us. Me picking up one game for you on you this season, and obviously that Washington New York Jets game. We didn't care about that last week. We're not going to talk about it much this week. I took Washington, you took the Jets.
Mhm.
But there were a lot of good games in that 12 o'clock slate. I would have to say Tampa Bay had the most impressive win, just dismantling Jacksonville, and then Geno Smith as well,
Mhm.
back to back fourth quarter 2 minute drives with the game winner. So yeah, lots of cool stuff this week.
Yeah, and then you look at what we had betting wise as well. We did pretty well. 4-1 for both of us here, as you know, the Colts didn't help me out and the Cardinals didn't help you out there. But we'll move to this week, and we do have some similar, as you can see there. We're both taking the Raiders and the Rams spreads here. We just both think, those are gonna hit. And then I am taking Detroit and Dallas over. I think this is gonna be one of those slugfests, probably like a 28-27 or a 31-30 game, and I think that's going to obviously hit the over. Then I'm taking Dolphins on the road, 3.5. I think that's going to be within a field goal game, no matter who wins. And then the Cardinals 10.5 on the road. Like I was telling you before the video, there's a game like week 17 or 18 where a really bad record team plays really well to a team that's with a decent record and that's kind of struggling. And those two teams right now line up, and I think that's where the money's to be made.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with obviously the Raiders and Rams on the road. And then I'm gonna go Buccaneers minus 2.5. I feel like this is just free. I would think Buccaneers are favored by at least 6 here at home. And then 49ers minus 13. After a really rough loss, I feel like they're gonna try to get Brock Purdy back on track, and I think they're gonna do it. And then Packers plus 2 at Minnesota. I think they're the better team. And plus, we don't know who's really starting for the Vikings. We know it's Jaron Hall, but we don't know anything about him. So a lot more to like there offensively for the Packers, and I think they will end up winning that game as well.
Then we move to the first game of the week tonight, Jets, Browns, and there's still a way that this Cleveland team can win the AFC North and be the 1 seed in the AFC. I know it's crazy. There's lots of scenarios that have to happen, but I think they get on the right track here, get a win, move to 11-5, and the only thing that concerns me about this team is Joe Flacco's interceptions. Getting to the playoffs, playing better defense. You can't have him throwing 2, 3 picks a game, and I know he's lighting it up, but I think that's getting unnoticed right now. But in this one, I just think the Jets offense won't do much against the Browns' good defense.
Yeah, and I think they will take this type of gunslinger quarterback over their guys they've had so far this season, and that's why I'm not too worried about the interceptions because that defense, like you said, I mean they're a top 2 defense in the NFL, I think behind the Ravens. So if they got them boys flying around, especially here against this very very bad Jets offense, almost stagnant. So got to take the Browns here at home, and I think they're gonna cover as well.
Then moving to Saturday, no Monday night football game this week, so they're deciding to play on Saturday, the day before New Year's Eve. What do we get? A treat. We get Lions, Cowboys, big NFC seeding purposes, as the Cowboys need to win out, Eagles need to lose one to possibly get the division. And Lions, there's still a way that they can get the 1 seed, as Philly and San Francisco are all tied with that 11-4 record. And obviously, you're going Detroit here. I'm going with Dallas. Dallas is 7-0 at home. And luckily, they're at home and they've won 15 straight at home dating back to last year. I got to go with the Cowboys.
Yeah, and all that you said was true, but they're playing inside. That's where the Lions offense eats. I think the Lions are much grittier and just a all around more physical team. So I think the Lions are gonna this is gonna be a high scoring game. I like the over as well. Saturday night, it's gonna be a really entertaining game to see what the NFC seeding looks like and how this can shake up. I do see Dallas getting to their sixth loss this year, or that might be their fifth loss. No, it's their sixth. I don't know.
Mhm.
But yeah. So got to go with the Lions here on the road.
Then moving to Sunday, a game that is a must win for these Jaguars, which is crazy to think about. This team was 8-3 just a few weeks ago. Now they find themselves at 8-7. tied for the division lead with the Colts and Texans. And the Panthers come to town. They've been playing some decent football these last few weeks. And who knows if Lawrence is starting in this one. With that big question mark, I am going to still take the Jaguars. I'm definitely staying away this one from a spread perspective.
I think if this does happen, if the Jaguars win, I think the defense is going to play a big role. Carolina's been sacked one of the most in the league this year, and Jacksonville can really get to the pressure there with Josh Allen and all their guys up front. I think that's going to matter a lot, and I think they're going to be taking the ball away as well, giving Trevor Lawrence good situations, and I think this offense will benefit from that this week.
Possibly the biggest game of the week at 1 o'clock. They didn't flex us into the night slate. You have Dolphins, Ravens, and I'm going with the Finns on the road here. This is the game where they prove it yet again to America that the Dolphins are a Super Bowl alongside with those Ravens, and I wouldn't be surprised if these two teams are facing off in the AFC Championship. I'm going with the Dolphins here on the road just because I just think that the Ravens game last week was kind of a miniature Super Bowl feel, and they're going to be feeling those effects this week. I'm not saying they're overlooking this game. It's a lot of what you're going into from one week to another week of facing all these opponents. But same for the Dolphins, except they're doing it on the road and they might not have Waddle. And if they can beat them without Waddle, that really proves to a lot of people that, might not be the MVP favorite heading into week 18. Tua might shoot up the charts.
Well, I like the Ravens in this one. I definitely like. I think this is going to be a defensive battle, actually, because Miami, ever since they got Jalen Ramsey back, they've been flying around as well. And then obviously the best defense in football, and they proved it last week against that vaulted Baltimore Ravens defense. And I think they're the best team in football this year, and that's saying a lot coming from a Steelers fan. So I'm going to pick them here, and I really do think they are very dangerous here coming in the stretch.
And a game that shouldn't be close. You got the Bills, Patriots, and the only thing you can say is the Patriots got to play somehow identical to last week to pull off an upset on the road in Buffalo, but it's a divisional game, and I don't see that happening as, Buffalo still has a shot to win this division. They need obviously to win out, beat the Patriots and the Dolphins next week. Then the Dolphins lose to Baltimore, and then obviously they beat the Dolphins next week as well. Buffalo is your
Yeah.
AFC East champion, and it's definitely not crazy to think that that can happen. And I think they're going to start here with that possibly happening with a win.
I think they should definitely win this as well. They already lost. They already dropped the game to New England, and I know they're not going to want to do that again. So they're going to be playing their tails off. And I think before list this year, the Bills have totally had the Patriots number, and I think that will stay the same here. And I think it's going to be a blowout win for the Bills.
In a game of the draft pick battles, as the Falcons still have a chance to make it, but the Bears are kind of screwing themselves here by playing good at the end. But I think it's a sign for the future that Marvin Harrison Jr., if he, is number one pick where the Panthers are selecting because it's the Bears pick, Marvin Harrison Jr. should be a Chicago Bear next year. And you put him alongside Fields and Moore, and obviously I think Fields was there his freshman year when Harrison was there. So they know each other. If that's the case and they can still get an offensive lineman with their middle round pick, the Bears team could be making some noise next year. And I'm not saying playoff noise, but maybe at this time they'll be a little better looking at an 8-7 record rather than that 6-9. But for this game, I think they're going to get the better of the Falcons offense just because that offense is a big question mark every week.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of points from the Bears. I think, well, you could even say Justin Fields, they could trade that
Hmm.
pick or they could trade Justin Fields to say Atlanta. I mean, they're looking for a quarterback, and Justin Fields is from Atlanta originally, so that would be interesting as well. The Falcons would do it in a heartbeat, I think, and the Bears could get a decent amount back for Justin Fields, plus take Caleb Williams at number one. But that's in the future. I think the Falcons with Taylor Heineke honestly just play better physical defense and win this game. I mean, the Bears really, unless they can stop, if they can stop Justin Fields, then they should have no problem winning this game. And I think that run game needs to get going in order for that to happen in Atlanta.
In a game where Houston needs to win this to not just stay alive in the wild card race, but also the AFC South race. I think that's going to get done. CJ Stroud practiced this week, so I expect him to play in this one, and I think it's going to be a big difference in what Texans team you're going to see on the field. they're going to start slinging it around. But that Tank Dell loss, just every week, it's starting to hurt on the team, and you can tell that they're a receiver away from really being a very competitive team.
Right.
Expect
Agreed.
another big week from Nico Collins here this week, as he'll put up some good numbers against a weak Titans secondary.
Well, I'm hoping it's somebody else other than Nico Collins because I'm going up against him in my fantasy championship. So no Nico Collins this week. I'm going with the Texans though. The Titans have been probably playing the best football out of anybody in their division over the past few weeks. And unfortunately, that 5-10 record doesn't really say so, but I think they found their quarterback of the future, or at least the next couple years. Give him another year. Will Levis. He's shown some good signs this year and they're playing their tails off for Coach Mike Vrabel. So they could make this. This is going to be a close game. I think Titans could definitely cover the spread, but CJ Stroud coming back, he's just been so good for the Texans. And without the Texans, you saw without CJ Stroud, the Texans were not very good over the past few weeks. So a big help for them to get him back.
And we're both going with an upset pick here, so I can probably speak for you here in this one. That Raiders defense is causing problems for no matter what team they are playing. I mean, if Aiden O'Connell didn't have to throw a pass after the first quarter last week and they go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs, that's a statement in itself right there. And since they fired Josh McDaniels, this Antonio Pierce-led team has been a complete 180 of what we saw at the beginning of the year. And they still have a chance to win the AFC West here. The Raiders, if they win out, Chiefs lose out, they win that division at 9-8, and they're hosting a playoff game. I know it's crazy to think about. It could happen, and I think the
Yeah.
Raiders are going to help their case here and keep the dream alive.
Well, I think they are going to get this win, but unfortunately, I also think the Chiefs will probably get a win this week as well. So that would unfortunately ruin the fairy tale. But the Raiders defense, as you said, they're flying around, and I'm not going to talk about this too much. But they've been playing hell of a good football, and I think they're going to win it on the road.
In a game that should be, a higher spread in both of our opinions. It was as low as 4.5 today when I saw it at one point. It's back up to 5.5. And the Rams, they're clicking on all cylinders. Giants, however, benched Tommy DeVito, threw in Tyrod Taylor, played all right, and played decent against the Eagles, but there's some still question marks heading around this Giants franchise and looming into the offseason, what Saquon's going to do, what they're going to do with Daniel Jones. So, I think they're starting to see that and think about that as we head into the last two games of the season. And well, the Rams, they're playing for a playoff spot and they're going to come in New York and I think light it up. So give me the Rams big here.
Yeah, give me the Rams as well. Giants played really solid last week, but the Rams did too. And those dudes, Kyron Williams is a beast. Said this last week, and we're gonna say it again. He's a beast. He's been balling out for the Rams, and I think this is a great matchup for him. And I think he's gonna go off this week as well.
And yes, you are looking at that correctly. I am picking the Cardinals. And like I said earlier in the video, there's a team every week or every end of the year, the week 17, 18, that shouldn't have any business hanging with a team around this caliber. And they somehow pull off an upset win. And I think that's going to be the Cardinals this week. And I'm only saying that because this Cardinals team, they've been playing some decent football. Obviously, last week didn't go their way against Chicago. Couldn't stop Justin Fields running the ball. Well, you get another quarterback this week, and you can fix those mistakes last week of a mobile quarterback, implement some new stuff this week, figure that out. And if they can do that, stop Hurts from running the ball, forcing him to throw it, I think Kyler can bose this defense. I mean, the Giants put up 25 last week against this Eagles team. The Cardinals have more weapons. I think
Mhm.
they're going to squeak this one out here. It's probably going to be like a 24-23 last second victory if the Cardinals win this game. I know it's kind of a Hail Mary here, but
Yeah, I mean, you definitely never know. I think it could happen. Anything can happen in the NFL. Cardinals have been playing good football, so I'll give you that. I do think the Eagles are going to win here though, because I mean, like you said, they couldn't stop Justin Fields running the ball. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Jalen Hurts. Any third down and short, they're going to gain, and they're just going to play that smash mouth football with a tush push and everything like that. So give me the Eagles, and DeAndre Swift has been balling out too. He's been very efficient running the football.
and in a big divisional game, winner of this will take the lead in that NFC South. And obviously, we're both going Tampa here because they're the hotter team. Baker's playing his butt off right now, and I don't think there's really more to be said other than this is a big rivalry. These teams don't like each other. The Bucks right now at home, tough to bet against a team on how they're playing.
Yeah, I think the only chance the Saints have of this game is to get Kamara going. He's averaging like 2 yards a carry over the last month. So got to get him available out of the passing game. And Derek Carr's absolutely robbed the Saints, I think.
Hmm.
They paid him to be the obvious. They should have won the division already. At the beginning of the year, I mean, I picked the Bucks to go 0-16 or something stupid like that. So
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
it's
pretty brutal, what you were thinking there. But we'll move on to easy game. Doesn't need to be said. Obviously, the Niners last week struggled, and you and me both think that this team is going to rebound well. A very bad Commanders secondary, and expect Purdy and in company to have a great day. Defense show out, and we'll move to the 4 o'clock game. I know this is a big one for you.
oh
Steelers
yeah,
on the road, Seattle. More than likely, whoever wins this is probably going to make the playoffs.
yeah.
And going with Pittsburgh here with you on this one. After last week's performance, if Rudolph can have half of that performance, I think they'll
Yeah.
find a way to win this.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. That defense really instilled some hope into me, and Seattle can't keep winning at the buzzer. So give me the Steelers. Tomlin's not going to let that happen. If they take the lead, they're going to keep it in the fourth quarter.
And a big one for both of these teams. Bengals, Chiefs, coming off some disappointing losses last week, to say the least. And I'm tempted to take Cincinnati because, they call it Burrowhead. Burrow isn't playing in this one. The Chiefs really need this. And, you would have told me week 17 that both of these teams are fighting to get in the playoffs. I would have said you're crazy. It's just the world we live in today, and Burrow's done for the year. Mahomes is not nearly as good as we've seen him, probably his worst year he's ever played. With all that being said, we might find this Chiefs team finishing 11-6 and hosting the AFC Championship just because, they're built for this. They've done it the last, what, 4 years heading into this year. I think the obvious pick here is the Chiefs, and they move to 10 wins.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I mean, the Bengals need this game just as much as the Chiefs. They have less to lose because they don't have their superstar quarterback in. I think they're going to use that fuel as fire, and the Chiefs are going to win it at home.
And a game that probably no one's going to watch because that other game's on because, Broncos bench Russ. So he's probably going to be a free agent next year as they're going to cut him. And you get Jared Stidham stepping in against Easton Stick. What a game. I'm excited to watch. It's at home. Denver needs a win to keep the playoff hopes alive. So I'm going with the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm just going with the more experienced head coach, and about it, honestly. I think the Broncos will win it.
And then last game of the week, my Packers go on the road to Minnesota. Winner of this keeps the playoff hopes alive. And I'm going with my Packers here. I know who's quarterbacking, and it's Jordan Love, and he doesn't get enough credit for what he's done this year. If you look at these stats heading into week 17, compare him to Brock Purdy on just passing touchdowns and interceptions. Purdy has 2 more touchdowns this year, and I don't think that's getting talked about enough. Love has had to deal with this year. Starting running backs hurt, starting wide receivers. I couldn't tell you who we've thrown in countless
Yeah.
times because we got nobody. Starting rookie tight ends hurt. And what have the Vikings had to deal with? I get it. Kirk Cousins has been out, but they've started to figure out some ways on how to win. And losing Hawkinson now, I think, is the key piece for me where this Vikings offense doesn't know what to do because when Jefferson was out, they had receivers to replace him. But now that Hawkinson's done for the year, you can't just replace a tight end that good. And I think that's what's going to cost the Vikings this week.
Yeah, and the Vikings have had no problem moving the ball on offense. It's just turnovers on turnovers, or ever since they scored 3 points, obviously, but it's just been the turnovers. And I think Jordan Love, like you said, I'm with you on that. I think he's having a great year, especially with what he's been given. So I think he's going to take advantage of all the turnovers from Nick Mullins, and I think the Packers, the better team, will win on the road on Sunday night.
And that's going to be it for our week 17 preview and picks. Check back next week to see how we did on our picks and our bets. And we're going to go into week 18 hard and, hopefully have some good football on our hands. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.